with ZipRecruiter.
Popular donut chain Krispy Kreme on edge as a new cyber breach is reported. ABC's Jim Ryan with more details.
At the same time that Krispy Kreme is rolling out its Independence Day offerings, frosted stars and stripes themed donuts, the North Carolina-based franchise is warning of a security breach that may have compromised personal data, including social security numbers and banking information. Krispy Kreme says the breach primarily affects current and former employees.
Breaking ground for the newest Major League Baseball stadium, ABC's Alex Stone.
3, 2, 1.
With gold shovels in hand and green helmets on, the A's, formerly of Oakland, now playing in Sacramento, breaking ground on their new $1.5 billion stadium where not long ago the Tropicana Hotel stood. MLB Commissioner Rob Manfred.
Las Vegas has proven itself to be a great sports town.
The stadium will alter the look of the Vegas Strip. The A's are scheduled to play in their new stadium and make the move to Las Vegas in 2028. Alex Stone, ABC News.
5 people were transported to the hospital in Raleigh after an American Airlines flight encountered unexpected turbulence while traveling from Miami to North Carolina Sunday night. The FAA is investigating. After years of delays, Tesla launched their robo-taxi service in a small section of Austin over the weekend. The cars will be driverless, but a Tesla employee will ride along just in case. Stephanie Officer, ABC News.
Progressive presents Employee of the Month. Small Business Edition. Today's recipient from Lucky Larry's Landscaping, Larry! Larry saved his business money with a quick commercial auto quote from Progressive. Does it help he's his own marketing manager, accountant, executive assistant, and never been late? Technically, yes, but saving really put him over the edge. So, Larry, give Larry a round of applause. Be your own Larry. See if you could save in as little as 7 minutes at ProgressiveCommercial.com. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates.
News Talk 610 AM.
5:05 now on this Monday
102.1
afternoon
FM.
with your KBN News headlines. I'm Will Feelright. First, a story that's been developing through the afternoon. An Amber Alert has been issued for 2 teenagers who could be traveling from southeast Idaho to northern Utah, according to law enforcement. Now, the 2 teens were reported missing from Montview, Idaho, after sheriff's deputies said that they may have gone to Cache Valley due to what law enforcement described as religious beliefs. Now, the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office said that it received a report back on Saturday that 13-year-old Alan Lorand Fisher and 15-year-old Rochelle Leray Fisher had left their home and may be traveling in a gray Honda or Hyundai sedan with Utah license plates. Now, their 18-year-old sister, Luntra D. Fisher, was reported missing back in January of 2023 and has not yet been located. Now, Alan is described as being 5 feet 9 inches tall, 135 pounds, with longer sandy blonde hair and blue eyes, while Rochelle is believed to be about 5 feet 5 inches tall, 135 pounds, with brown hair and blue eyes. Now, the Amber Alert added that the 2 children may be with adult siblings headed to an FLDS group. Now, the sheriff's office said that the children may be returning to Trenton, Utah, where they previously lived due to religious beliefs. No further details were provided. Meanwhile, anyone that may have any information as to the teenagers' whereabouts is asked to contact law enforcement. In other news, the 16-year-old accused of killing 4 people at the Westfest Carnival in West Valley City last weekend will face charges in adult court. Now, on Friday, Salt Lake County District Attorney Sim Gill announced that Matthias Contre-Lati Leon Register will face 4 counts of aggravated murder and 9 counts of felony discharge of a firearm. Now, this comes after an initial report of 3 victims, but the DA revealed that one of the victims, a 41-year-old Fanu Rena, was 8 weeks pregnant, bringing the death toll now to 4. Now, prosecutors say that video surveillance showed the suspect entering the carnival area with a firearm and firing multiple shots and continuing to shoot at the intended target, 18-year-old Hassan Lagundi, even after he fell. Now, the gun was a 9mm Taurus and was reported stolen out of Louisiana. Now, disturbingly, detectives report that the suspect laughed and smiled when informed of Lagundi's death. And a family outing turned into a 2-hour ordeal at Snowbird this past week as 40 passengers, including 14 children, were stranded on one of the resort's red aerial trams. Now, the tram came to a sudden halt mid-descent last Wednesday afternoon around 4:30 when an emergency brake unexpectedly engaged. Now, Monica Stewart, on board with her family, described it like slamming the brakes on a car, with some witnesses reporting seeing sparks. Now, mechanics were quickly dispatched, climbing up to inspect the tram. Snowbird President and General Manager Dave Fields confirmed that safety systems worked as designed, and after inspection, they were able to disengage the brake. Everyone was safely brought down, some on the blue tram and then some who had chosen just to hike down. Now, the tram was back in service. By Thursday night, Snowbird officials praised their team for a professional and safe resolution to a very unusual incident. Well, we've enjoyed cooler temperatures today, and now tonight, well, we'll get down into the mid-40s with a few clouds overnight, and those clouds are going to linger tomorrow morning, but eventually clear up. Tuesday, we'll see temperatures tomorrow around 83, eventually getting back into the low 90s by Thursday and into Friday, as overall, we're going to see mostly clear skies through this week. And weather this hour is part of the news brought to you by Napa Auto Parts. They want you to be prepared for the hotter temperatures ahead. That's why you can stop by and get fuel treatments along with great deals on batteries, all at Napa Auto Parts. There are 5 locally owned locations from Preston to Providence. And I'm Will Feelright with your KVNU News Headlines.
Do you have a nasty weed problem? We have the right person for you. Sir, you work for Logan Extermination, don't you? Can you help these folks get rid of pesky dandelions?
Of course I can help. I am the Terminator. I will terminate those little yellow devils in your yard. Call me at Logan Extermination, 752-8450.
Terminate your weeds and green up your lawn for only $45, based on maximum 5,000 square feet.
As our world changes, we'll keep you up to date. News Talk KVNU, 102 FM, 610 AM. Also on the new KVNU mobile app.
Tired of that patch of dirt you call a patio? Ready to impress the neighbors and your in-laws? Introducing you, the Weekend Warrior. Thanks to Cast-A-Lite Tile and Masonry. With easy-to-install outdoor pavers and expert advice, you'll go from I have no idea what I'm doing to check out my backyard oasis in no time. They'll teach you how to do it right without the head-scratching or YouTube rabbit holes. Cast-A-Lite, go where the pros go. And now, where you go too.
Here's Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, with a tip for your lawn.
Warmer temperatures have both weeds and grass competing for space in your yard. Dandelions, thistle, clover, morning glory will all be kept under better control when you have us applying pre-emergence and weed control. At the same time, we can feed your grass to make sure it wins the battle and keep it lush and growing all season long. Regular visits from the lawn doctor will help your lawn be healthier and pest-free.
Fertilizer, weed, and pest control. Call Chad Norton, the lawn doctor, at 753-LAWN. Follow them on Facebook or go to LawnDoctorCashValley.com.
The votes are in, and it's almost time to reveal the winners. The 2025 Best of Northern Utah results drop Wednesday, June 25th. Snag your free copy of the Winners Magazine at locations across Cache Valley, or check out the winners online at bestofnorthernutah.com. Thousands of you voted to honor your favorite businesses in nearly 200 categories. Starting Wednesday, June 25th, we'll celebrate the winners of this year's Best of Northern Utah. Proudly presented by Alpine Cleaning and Restoration.
Well, I'm having the worst of luck with the music today. Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. It is hour 2 of today's show. I am Jason Williams, and it is 72 degrees. Am I a forecaster or what? I said it was probably going to tick up from 69 before the second hour got underway. Yeah, 72 degrees, but still feels relatively cool, right, compared to the temperatures we've seen the last couple of days. Those temperatures are coming back again. Expect things to be quite a bit warmer as we head towards the weekend and into the weekend, of course. And just a reminder again, as we watch these fires burn in southern Utah, that the fire danger is not a theoretical, even here in northern Utah. We spoke with Logan Fire Marshal and Logan Fire Chief last week as part of our Speak to the Mayor segment. Mayor Daines couldn't be with us, so they came in her place, and And they both, were stressed repeatedly that the fire danger is pretty high out there as things start to dry out. So concern as we head into fireworks season, but nothing like what is in southern Utah right now with Pinto, small city in southern Utah, on evacuation watch, and 2 other suburban areas already evacuated and being held in evacuation for multiple days now. It is a reality that is on us a little bit earlier this year than normal. Normally we get until, the end of July most years before we really have to think about this in northern Utah, but it's going to be coming earlier this year. All right. Deseret News poll caught my eye today because this surprises me. I didn't think this would be something that we would ever see in Utah, and I'm not sure that this is, I don't know. I don't know if this is good or bad news. I guess it depends on how you feel about it. But what does concern me is the rapidness of the shift. But a Deseret News Hinckley Institute of Politics, the Hinckley Institute runs out of the University of Utah, and they team up to do these polls. Basically, the news organization pays for the poll. The Hinckley Institute conducts the poll. That's how these work. So Deseret News and the Hinckley Institute of Politics at the University of Utah did a poll on marijuana. And what they found is that in basically 5 short years, going back further than that, I did some research for this, and I found it a long time ago, 2016. So 9 years ago. Utah Policy and Dan Jones and Associates teamed up for a poll on marijuana, and specifically, so now here in Utah we have what is in 2014 the legislature passed what was known as Charlie's Law, which allowed for the use of cannabidiol and CBD as you know it. And that was so it was called Charlie's Law. This was a young woman who had epileptic seizures, and CBD actually put them at bay. So in 2014, that was created. 4 years later, voters approved a ballot initiative which extended the use of cannabis, marijuana, for other health conditions, a medicinal marijuana program, basically. And that was created by voters via ballot initiative. The legislature kind of tried to rewrite the law and make it their own and delay the implementation, and that kind of didn't go so well, and the legislature eventually had to take it back to where the original ballot initiative was. So it took a while, but it got up and running. And so we've had for years now the medicinal marijuana program, and that remains in polling pretty popular in Utah. It was at the time, and it remains so. And if you're curious, by the way, a little side note here, as of this month, I looked, Utah has 16 medical cannabis pharmacies running statewide. And these, and I didn't know this, some of them make home deliveries for those who have a medicinal card through their doctor. And those are generally people stuck at home, and some of them are elderly and unable to drive. It's used for everything from chronic nausea to it's prescribed to those oftentimes who are undergoing chemotherapy to keep the nausea at bay, epilepsy, as I've mentioned, anxiety in extreme cases, a lot of different reasons it's prescribed by a doctor. But and the first pharmacy actually was up and running 5 years ago in 2020, about the same time. Well, it was May of 2020, the first pharmacy opened. And it's about a $600 million industry at this point. That comes from the Utah Department of Health and Human Services Center for Medicinal Cannabis, and that is according to the Deseret News, also reporting on this survey today. So there's a little background on where we're at in the state of Utah. This survey was specifically looking at recreational marijuana, and they did so because they found there was a Harris X poll, online only poll of 805 registered Utah voters back in early May, and what it found was a large majority of Utahns that supported legalizing marijuana for recreational use, as Oregon, Colorado, California, there are a few other states that have done it. I think there's like 14 total now. But the Deseret News decided to commission their own poll through the Hinckley Institute of Politics because they thought, okay, that was an online-only poll. 805 registered voters is pretty credible. Margin of error was only 3.5 percentage points. That's a credible poll. But whereas online-only, the theory, I think, was, guessing at their thinking on why they decided to pay for their own poll, was that you probably got more young people in an online-only poll, right? And I think that's a pretty safe assumption. And so the Harris X poll showed that about 67% support legalized recreational use, in addition to the medicinal program already up and running that requires a doctor's prescription and a medical marijuana card that be maintained with the state for a fee I think you have to pay every couple of years to keep that card active. Anyway, so this is recreational marijuana, and understandably skeptical that the Harris X poll maybe got a wider set of younger voters. Deseret News decided to commission their own with the Hinckley Institute of Politics, and they were surprised by the results. Now, they didn't find 67% of support. They did find a majority. 53% of Utahns favor legalizing marijuana for recreational use. What they did find nearly 70% support for was the current medicinal marijuana program. That appears to be very popular with Utahns, even those not on it. The question was basically, do you support Utah having a medicinal marijuana program? And the answer clearly is yes. Not quite as high in the results for should we legalize it for recreational use as well, but still a majority. And as the Deseret News reports on their own poll, and as I kind of thought as I read the headline, this is a very rapid shift. Again, it was 2016 Utah policy found only 22%. They found almost 80% were supportive of a medicinal program in 2016, but Dan Jones and Associates, in a poll commissioned by UtahPolicy.com, found only 22% supported legalizing marijuana for recreational use in 2016. Deseret News, in their own reporting on this poll, also points out that April of 2023, they did a similar poll with Hinckley Institute as well, and found that only 40% in 2023 believed marijuana should be legal for recreational and medicinal use. In fact, a majority at that time, 51%, almost the same result, but in reverse, they found in this most recent poll. So 2 years ago in April, 51% said marijuana should only be legal for medicinal use in Utah. Only medicinal use, not recreational. And the survey showed nearly 4 in 10 Utahns were very concerned about medical cannabis itself that could lead to recreational use. And now here we are 2 years later, same media outlet paying for the poll, same pollster using the same methodology of the same group, well, not the same individuals, but also a registered voter poll, and they pick them the same way, and they found that basically it's completely reversed. So in 2023, 51% were concerned, not opposed necessarily, but very concerned about the medicinal program that they supported leading to recreational use legalization. Now, 2 years later, the same poll finds that a majority of about the same size, 53%, actually say we should legalize marijuana for recreational use. Now, this is one poll, and it's a small sample size, and I would guess you could run a poll just slightly tweaking the question, maybe get a different result. But again, just contrasting it with the Deseret News' own poll 2 years ago, that is a rapid shift. I have no theory on what's behind this. I'm just surprised by the shift. Deseret News goes to length to compare the polls. And again, they say, while the Deseret News Hinckley Institute poll shows a majority of Utahns favor legalized recreational use today, It aligns with another recent survey that they point to that was done by Noble Predictive Insights for a medical marijuana advocacy group called Keep Utah Medical. And they were just polling to see if people were satisfied with how the medicinal program was working. And what they accidentally found in their own poll was that 52% of Utahns thought that it should just be legalized for recreational use as well. So, again, no theories on why this shift is happening over the last couple of years. The demographics are also pretty much what you'd expect. Highest support among 18 to 35-year-olds. But surprisingly, almost 42% support of those polled over the age of 65, which is 10% more support for recreational marijuana legalization here in Utah than 2 years ago in the same poll. So, again, no theories on why public opinion is shifting. There's not been an aggressive campaign for this. There's not been some sort of lobbying effort done for public opinion. It just seems to be a shift that's happening. And whether it's good or bad, I'll leave that up to you, the listeners. But definitely an interesting result from the survey today, published in the Deseret News. I've linked to their full coverage that breaks down the demographics and the particulars of how they conducted the poll on our Facebook page. And we'll be back with more of For the People right after this.
News Talk 610 AM, 102.1 FM, KVNU.
I recently had a meeting with a business owner that had his business insurance with one agent, his auto with another, and work comp with the state. Sounds confusing, right? This is Matt Robbins with Quality First Insurance. This individual loved the idea of a one-stop shop and saved hundreds of dollars by putting his insurance policies under one roof. Let Quality First be the one-stop shop for your insurance needs. Give us a call today, 435-752-0101.
I'm Mike Gavin in for Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, the latest from the Middle East as Iran promises a forceful response to U.S. airstrikes. Plus, why a peace deal with Iran could be out of President Trump's hands, despite writing, "Now is the time for peace." Also, why young graduates are facing an employment crisis, and why oversubscribed Americans are thinking of cutting the cord. All that and more when Gordon returns Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News.
From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. Wow, everyone just keeping wildfires in the news today. Since we opened the show, Governor Cox out with a statement, again, after his weekend tour of the fires in southern Utah. One currently listed as the second largest fire in Utah in 5 years. Governor Cox with a warning that, quote, "the summer is going to get dicey everywhere." That is, again, his reaction to his tour of the southern Utah fires and fire suppression efforts. So that is, interesting. Utah lawmakers today talking a lot on social media ahead of an upcoming potential special session and more. There was a lot of people wondering if the governor, now that they've collected the signatures and qualified for the ballot, the backers of the repeal of Utah lawmakers' collective bargaining ban targeting the teachers, police, and firefighters and laborers union in Utah, with this bill to stop them from being able to collectively bargain through unions for better wages and work conditions and things like that. The Utah legislature banned it in the session. There was an immediate effort to start collecting signatures for repeal. They were successful. Over the weekend, the lieutenant governor certified that, meaning they looked at the signatures and it was official. And then everyone was wondering whether the governor would schedule this for the ballot this fall in a municipal election or next year during a midterm election when more people tend to turn up. I'm not sure which side the backers of the repeal effort came down on, but either way, we know the governor made the announcement today that will not appear on the ballot until 2026. And so a lot of speculation today online, and a few, maybe not telling, but at least hinting comments from a couple of lawmakers that, and they like to do this sometimes when they pass something and it meets an immediately successful effort for repeal. Sometimes they like to just pull it back in themselves rather than, face the embarrassment of having something they all voted for repealed on the ballot by voters. So part of this might be to give opportunity for lawmakers to rewind it themselves, to repeal it themselves. Now, they did that with the food tax, and it still kind of that still kind of blew up in their faces. They still kind of ended up with a couple of lawmakers losing their elections the next year. But usually this works for them. We'll see. But that announcement made by the governor just a few minutes ago. Something else that lawmakers are talking about now. This isn't in Cache Valley. This is in Vineyard City. And this was a construction site near the old Geneva Steel Mill, but it's getting a lot of attention. A report from the State Auditor dinging the city, Vineyard City, for what the State Auditor called obscure and in some cases intentionally confusing use of public funds and hefty payments to developers. With one lawmaker reacting to this audit today saying, as fast as Utah is growing and as quickly as we're working with developers to build new housing, this really raises the question, are we asking enough question of developers? Again, this isn't in Cache Valley, but this is the audit officers found that something called the Vineyards Redevelopment Agency that the city was using to spur all this development had, quote, not submitted all transactions to the Transparent Utah website as required by law. And the office of the auditor outlined several concerns in a 6-page limited review of their audit published this afternoon. And basically, they said overall there was a concerning tone. Vineyard City is the concerning tone from Vineyard City is one of not being very transparent and even being openly hostile to anyone asking questions, including us, the state auditor, Tina Cannon, said. She said, this is very concerning. Substantial payments to developers were omitted from public records, and there appeared to be a clear intent to stop us from asking questions, and we are the state auditor's office. This should raise public suspicions that those payments were intentionally hidden. Vineyard Mayor issued a letter and response document in which she said, we are committed to transparency, and this was just a simple clerical oversight. The auditor seems skeptical, but either way, this had a few lawmakers from all around the state saying, or asking, I guess, as we build and build and build, which we need to do, are we, from the state level on down to the city level, are we asking enough questions? Are we making sure the public is in the loop? Expect legislation over this one. In what form, I don't know, but it's a pretty big deal. If you want to read the full audit, which is actually very boring, it's very technical, I've linked to it on our Facebook page, but pretty serious deal, and the auditor pulling no punches. We'll be back after this look at the news with KVNU's Will Feel Right.
Well, thank you, Jason. Emergency crews were called to Beaver Creek Lodge over the weekend after 2 people were injured while horseback riding. Now, the incident was reported Saturday afternoon near the lodge in Logan Canyon. According to the Logan City Fire Department, paramedics along with Cache County search and rescue teams responded to the recreation area after 2 individuals were bucked off of separate horses. Now, they each sustained serious injuries. An Intermountain Life Flight helicopter was also paged to the incident due to the circumstances. The fire department said the one patient was airlifted from the scene and transported to Primary Children's Hospital in Salt Lake City, while the other individual was transported by ground ambulance to Intermountain Logan Regional Hospital. In other news, a man was hospitalized with severe injuries, and another is facing now felony charges after a road rage incident that happened in Taylorsville. Now, 60-year-old Scott Michael Ryan was arrested for aggravated assault last week. On Thursday, Taylorsville police said they responded to a vehicle versus e-bike crash Witnesses had told officers the driver, identified as Ryan, was in a mid-sized SUV that was traveling the wrong way and intentionally swerved towards the e-bike rider. Now, the victim was hit, crashed, and sustained severe injuries, preventing him from giving a statement to police at the scene. Ryan admitted to a prior altercation with the victim and claimed that the e-bike rider had cut him off earlier, which had made him upset. And a Harriman woman is facing serious felony charges after allegedly brandishing a handgun at a group of minors during another road rage incident. 31-year-old Caitlin Nicole Holliday is charged with multiple counts of aggravated assault and threatening with a dangerous weapon, all road rage enhancements. Now, the incident occurred back on March 11th in the Mountain View corridor. 3 minors reported to Harriman police that a white car driven by Holliday had cut them off. Now, after a frustrated comment from a passenger, Holliday allegedly pulled out a black handgun, pointed it at them, and waved it around while yelling. Now, the quick-thinking minors managed to snap a picture of her license plate, which then led police to Holliday. During an interview, Holliday denied brandishing the weapon, claiming that she only made a hand gesture in the shape of a gun. However, she did admit to owning a black Hellcat Pro 9mm handgun. Now, Holliday is currently on pretrial release with conditions including no contact with the victims and also the forfeiture of any firearms. Well, it's been a nice afternoon as we've enjoyed cooler temperatures again today, with highs only been in the mid-70s. Now, tomorrow a little warmer as we'll see some clouds coming in overnight tonight. Temperatures will drop into the mid-40s. Tomorrow we'll hit 83 for our high. Eventually we'll get back into the 90s by Thursday and continuing to see 90s for Friday and into the weekend, as overall looks like it's going to remain mostly clear through this week. And congratulations to Jake Martin, a paralegal who is studying to become a lawyer and our latest Above and Beyond Salute winner from Firehouse Subs. He won a $40 gift card to Firehouse Subs on Friday, and you can submit your nominations for the Above and Beyond Salute. We do it every Friday morning. Just go to kvnutalk.com. And I'm Will Feelwright with your KVNU News Headlines.
This is a special report from ABC News. I'm Stephanie Officer. President Trump on social media says Israel and Iran have agreed to a ceasefire. Trump branding the conflict the 12 days war. Speaking to ABC News, former CIA Assistant Director Matthew Barrett said it was only days ago that Israel was threatening to assassinate Iran's Ayatollah.
If they want this to last, I think threats against the supreme leader in Iran are going to have to probably abate. And we'll have to see what whether cooler heads in Iran emerge.
Meanwhile, Russia and China condemned the U.S. strikes on Iran's nuclear facilities. Speaking to ABC News, former U.S. ambassador to NATO, retired Lieutenant General Doug Lute, called Russia's condemnation ironic.
Russia has increased the tempo of its attacks on Ukraine. And the Ukrainian casualties over the last couple weeks surpass the casualties in either Israel or Iran.
This is ABC News.
Today's hearing aid technology can improve not only your life, but the lives of the people who care about you. Once again, you'll be able to hear the reason for their laughter and understand conversations. Dr. Paul Danes will customize a hearing improvement program to meet your unique requirements, whatever they are. Call Dr. Danes for an appointment at 753-HERE and let him show you how.
Bring back what you've been missing. Bring back Cache Valley Hearing and Audiology.
At Mountain Valley Heating and Air Conditioning, Feel the Love is more than just heating and cooling. It means giving back. 5 complete HVAC systems will be donated to a deserving person or family. Feel the love and nominate that person or family in need at mtnvalleyhvac.com. Nominate prior to September 1st, 2025. See website for all details.
Tuesday edition, Clay Travis, Buck Sexton Show. We will continue to monitor the fallout. What is the latest after the attack on Iran from Saturday? Will there be moves? Will there not? We also will discuss the big, beautiful bill scheduled to be joined by Senator Rick Scott of Florida. Make sure that you are hanging with us. Tuesday edition, Clay and Buck.
10 to 1 on News Talk KVNU, 102 FM and 610 AM.
Hot town, summer in the city, city. All around, people looking half dead.
Welcome back to KVNU's For the People. This is all part of a, I don't know, PSA, if you will, for dog owners out there. It's an easy thing to forget and not think of. We're all pretty aware of the whole don't leave the dog in the car. Even with the windows cracked, temperatures can, even on a 75-degree day, temperatures can reach 95, 100 degrees within minutes inside a car. And so, if you think, I'll leave the air conditioner running. Well, what if the engine stalls while you're shopping? Just leave the dog at home if possible, or with someone if not possible. And those crates, they're cheap and they're very effective. Fido might not like it, but it's better than cooking in a car, right? I've seen a bit of that this summer, but something I saw over the weekend that has just kind of been on my mind. I was at the farmer's market on Saturday in the afternoon, the last half an hour of the farmer's market there in downtown Logan, and I was watching these folks with some kids and a dog walking through the parking lot to their car headed home. And the dog was lifting its paw, trying to lift all four of its paws at once off of the hot tarmac in the parking lot there. And the owner was oblivious. And tarmac in the summertime can reach 120 degrees Fahrenheit on a 80-degree day in direct sunlight, causing burns. Now, dogs' pads are pretty tough. They can handle, a rocky trail and even some degree of temperature. But the back of a truck bed, especially with one of those black plastic liners or rubberized liners, gets really hot, and tarmac even more so. This comes from the Humane Society of Utah. And some helpful tips on this from the Cash Humane Society as well. And you should support them if you have the means to do so, either through a cash donation or a volunteering your time with Cash Humane Society, because they do amazing work as a no-kill shelter here in Cache Valley. But they have something they call the 7-second rule. If you can't hold the back of your hand, not the palm is more sensitive, but if you can't hold the back of your hand on the pavement for 7 seconds, that is burning your dog's foot. If it's hot to the touch, it's likely too hot for your dog. Some easy ways to avoid this: walk during cooler hours, stay on grass or shade. You can actually get little boots. They look funny and give everybody a laugh, but they have little boots. If you're in a situation where there's, so this is kind of cool. There's a woman on Instagram who has been basically riding horses from a long ways away. She went through to the Bear Lake Valley recently. She was in Morgan County for a little while, and she's doing this as part of an ongoing, kind of awareness effort. But she has a dog with her, and when she was going around the south end of Bear Lake on her Instagram Live, she talked a little bit about something she uses for her dog who's walking along the side of the road with them on a hot day. She uses something called paw wax. Now, I'd never heard of this, and I've never used it, but you can buy paw wax to put on your dog's pads on his or her feet, and it protects them from the heat. So limping is a clear sign of burn. And lifting their paws, out of step when they take a step and then quickly lift their paw, that's a sign of, that's not just, ooh, it's too hot. That is, you're actually burning their pad. And those burns can lead to blisters, all kinds of problems, and of course, permanent damage to the pad. Which is also how a dog cools off when it's too hot, ironically. So avoid hot pavements, sidewalks, asphalt, all of that. And test it out with that 7-second rule. If you can't hold the back of your hand, not the palm, because you won't make it 7 seconds with the palm, even if it's a kind of moderately hot temperature. But if you can't hold the back of your hand on the asphalt for 7 seconds, you are burning your dog's foot. So, yeah, it's a pretty big deal. And it just, like I say, watching this poor little golden retriever try to make it through the parking lot to their car, burning its feet on the asphalt. It's just, so just don't do it. Asphalt's the worst, but cement sidewalks can get pretty warm as well, and it's something that's kind of easy to forget. So along these lines, Cash Humane has some tips on, we've talked about heat stroke with dogs, and of course this week temperature's a little cooler, but as we head towards the weekend, getting back up into those high temperatures. And dogs are also sensitive to heat. Cash Humane has some recommendations about signs of heat stroke. It's life-threatening in a dog. They have a core temperature, and their bodies, they're not great at cooling themselves. They're kind of built wrong for cooling down. Once their core temperature reaches a life-threatening temperature, oftentimes they don't come back down from that. And I've seen it happen. It is a long and painful death, and it's horrifying to watch. So if a dog's core temperature gets too high, sometimes their body can't cool them fast enough to prevent death. So same with human beings, ample water, shade, limiting outdoor activities. If you have a dog that you keep outside in a kennel, in really high temperatures, shade is not enough. So you may want to take some steps to bring them inside, keep them cool with more than just a bit of shade. Dogs don't sweat, and they rely on panting panting and shedding heat through their feet. Those are the two ways they prevent heat stroke, and heat stroke is just like in a human. It causes damage to organs, and left going too long, once their core temperature gets too high and their body can't cool back down fast enough, it is fatal. So again, easy precautions. Shade is great, but not enough on extremely hot days. Plenty of water, cool water. Limit exercise in the hottest parts of the day. Avoid hot pavement, like I mentioned. There are cooling aids out there. They make cooling vests, mats. Those cooling mats actually work pretty well. I was surprised. I thought it was kind of a gimmick, but I got one, and they work. And kiddie pools, of course. Most dogs love those. Not all, but a lot. Never leave them in a car. Even with the air conditioner running, car interiors can become dangerously hot in minutes. And signs of heat stroke, again, excessive panting, that tongue hanging out the side of the mouth and tongue kind of laying limp. That is a sign of heat stroke in a dog. Not a dog that's too hot. That is actual heat stroke. Drool and slobber running out of their mouth, lethargy. Those are symptoms that your dog is getting too hot. And red or purple gums, if they're not pink, if they're red or a purple, your dog has heat stroke. And if they don't cool down fast enough, it is quickly fatal in them. So, and they will eventually collapse. Once a dog is collapsed, oftentimes that is it for that dog. So keep them cool. Offer one other thing as well. If your dog does have heat stroke, I learned this the hard way. If your dog does have heat stroke, let them drink water slowly. It is possible for a dog to overhydrate once they've hit that heat stroke level, and they will projectile vomit that water, and then it's doing them no good, of course. So, just some simple tips there for dog owners, and please, take it seriously. Again, I've had the misfortune of being there when a dog lost its life to heat stroke. It was left outside in a kennel, and the piece of plywood that this neighbor had used for shade had fallen over. And, it was a horrible thing to see. So take it seriously. And again, if you want more tips on this, some great resources at the Utah Humane Society and Cash Humane Society as well. They also have some tips for generally caring for your dog in hot weather to avoid heat stroke and more. And a lot of this is really cheap and easy to do. So, by the way, they do make doggy sunscreen. If you have a dog with a bald patch or thin hair, they can sunburn, and they do make a doggy sunscreen. I've never tried that as well, but something you might want to check out there. All right. There's your keep the dog safe and alive and without burned feet tips for the extreme heat of the summer here in Logan, which is coming back to Cache Valley later this weekend. So enjoy these slightly cooler temperatures while they last. And we'll be back with more of KVNU's For the People right after this.
It's our 100th year of summer getaways at Murdoch GMC Chevrolet Cadillac. From the mountains to Moab, we'll get you there because every great summer starts with the right ride. Right now, take up to $2,500 off the all-new Terrain. When you walk through our doors, you feel like family at Murdoch Chevrolet GMC Cadillac in Logan or online at murdochchevroletlogan.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Call 888-391-6083 or see dealer for complete details. Offer expires 6/30/2025.
Yeah, military life can have its challenges, but sometimes veteran life brings more. While serving in Iraq, an IED took both my legs, but it didn't take my spirit.
As America's veterans face challenges, DAV is there.
My name is Greg Gadsden, 26-year Army veteran.
With the right support, more veterans can reach victories, great and small.
DAV helps veterans like me get all the benefits they've earned, and that can be a life changer.
DAV provides a lifetime of support to veterans of every generation, helping more than 1 million veterans each year.
Today, I'm an entrepreneur, photographer, and public speaker.
But there's more to be done and more victories to be won. With the right support, there are no limits.
My victory is just being the best that I can be.
Greg Gadsden, thank you for your service. May your victories inspire many more. Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
I'm Mike Gavin in for Gordon Deal. Tuesday on This Morning, the latest from the Middle East as Iran promises a forceful response to U.S. airstrikes. Plus, why a peace deal with Iran could be out of President Trump's hands, despite writing, "Now is the time for peace." Also, why young graduates are facing an employment crisis, and why oversubscribed Americans are thinking of cutting the cord. All that and more when Gordon returns Tuesday on This Morning, America's First News.
From 4 to 6 on News Talk KVNU, 610 AM and 102 FM. Your station for news and talk.
Just a quick update. Rounding out the show today, starting the show today, I talked a bit about the Forsyth fire and the France Canyon fires in southern Utah. Second largest fire, one of them in Utah's history for the last decade or so. And I mentioned that residents of Pinto, Utah, a tiny town in southern Utah in Washington County, were on evacuation watch. Well, that changed since the start of the show. They have now been evacuated. This fire officials are saying this is precautionary, but they believe despite the break they've gotten with high winds settling down and more, they believe the direction the fire is burning and the fact that it's still 0% contained, they can't ensure the safety of those residents as the heat continues to rise in southern Utah. So that was a change from just hour one when they were on an evacuation warning. Now they are officially being asked to evacuate. This is a tiny little town if you've ever been through it. So, again, if you have folks in the area, let them know there is a public meeting planned tonight at the fire station at 6 p.m. in central Washington County. And details of that on our Facebook page. I know that I spoke with a few residents over the weekend that were concerned about conditions down there, as windy as it was. So, yeah, it's hot and dry out there in southern Utah. It's hot and it's been cooler today, but getting hotter towards the end of the week and very dry out there fuel-wise in northern Utah. So we're not out of the woods, or we won't be in about a week. So wrap your heads around this. It's wildfire season. So just a little bit of an update on that. I wanted to highlight this as well before we're out of time today. The book itself was self-published, and I'm not sure how widely available it would be, but a somewhat famous individual in Utah, Eddie Mac Jones is his name. He's been an outspoken advocate for decades on the effects of nuclear testing and being a downwinder here in Utah. And he wrote a book, self-published. He is now author, Eddie Mac Jones, and the book is called You Are a Downwinder. He was interviewed by the Salt Lake Tribune recently, and he told them people either don't know what they're exposed to or they've forgotten that they were exposed to it, and they've stopped caring. Sad to say, there are many who don't. Jones himself has spent his life talking about the exposure to radiation from nuclear bomb testing in Nevada in the mid-20th century, and the cancer rates from those who were downwinders. And Jones at 87, just wanting people, he said, these people had cancer or they have cancer and don't know it yet. 20 more years of people that were exposed to those A-bomb tests that are over the age of 62 before they're all gone. He lost a brother to pancreatic cancer, and he's just trying to raise awareness. He said he hopes his book reminds people of the dangers of this. Oops. Didn't realize that story would have audio going along with it. This is a story that I've pinned also to our Facebook page if you want to read the actual survey. It's both a heartbreaking story of families in Utah struggling, and also something you, even if you're not really struggling right now, might want to check out, because it is a use of AI that hasn't got a lot of discussion right now. But St. George News, partnering with the Salt Lake Tribune and some local nonprofits in southern Utah, conducted a survey concerning financial struggles for residents in southern Utah and other parts of the state, with a focus on rural areas, of course, and responses sort of paint a picture of, Utah's fastest growing regions, and people having to get creative to make ends meet with the family budget each month. So, not something to celebrate, right, in a perfect world. But some of the responses and interviews with individuals and families in Iron and Washington counties really stood out. So one man interviewed is a 40-year-old construction supervisor from Togerville, and has a family of 6, and said that they recently had to make some tough decisions, including cutting back on some of the fees for athletics for his children, and relying a lot on coupons and bargain groceries and thrift stores and things like that, with inflation hitting the family budget so hard. And he said, my oldest had an opportunity to play in soccer showcase in Arizona, and that was our Christmas. That was one event. That was our entire holiday. And so, yeah, your heart breaks for people in these situations, and maybe you've been in this situation and are now out of it. You can look back and understand. But Barker said his family has not yet had to take advantage of the Utah Food Bank, and they avoid that, he says, out of concern for others who have greater need. He said, we're not there yet. It's not a pride thing. We're just not there yet. But he said concern about getting there is on his mind. And that is heartbreaking in its own way. So I don't know. It's heartbreaking that anybody would be in this situation. And so I just want to be clear, I'm not celebrating their situation with this, but at the same time, I was struck by some of the creativity, some of the solutions they're coming up with. And, Barker and others surveyed cite, raising electricity rates, the home insurance premiums in Washington County through the roof due to wildfire risk primarily. And we talked about that last week. But he says every utility company is also doing their annual increase. And then you've got groceries and inflation on top of that. So he says he and his family aren't planning to leave. They love it here. They're just trying to find a way. Another family surveyed a Parowan resident that commutes to Provo because it's a high-paying job, but I mean that is a commute. He said he travels up, spends the week, stays with his mom in Midway, and works in Provo all week long, and then comes back home to the family on the weekends. And he said he's talked to many people. He says, I'm far from alone in this lifestyle. He said, I know people in southern Utah who work in Vegas every day. And he said, I know one couple where he flies out every Sunday evening to California because they're getting paid better, but the cost of living here in Utah is cheaper, and so it's worth it to mix the two. But that is a commute, getting on a plane to fly to California all week and not seeing your family the whole time. Anyway. Another person surveyed was a retiree in Cedar City who had to go back to work to make ends meet at the age of let's see, she retired at 60 and made it a couple of years before having to go back to work. So those are some of the people they talked to. But again, just to be clear, not surviving this. Another was a Cedar City divorcee who was a student trying to get a psychology degree to better his situation after the divorce. Anyway, what struck me, though, in all these sad stories, and I recommend you read it. Salt Lake Tribune has a lengthy write-up on all of this, but some of the things they were doing to get by with coupons and more. But this one really stood out to me because I haven't seen this talked about anywhere else. But this is one family, the West family, they're actually using AI. They're combining coupons with artificial intelligence to basically what she calls strategically shop. And this struck me as genius. I've not heard of anyone else. I'm sure she isn't a first, but it just blows me away. Now, she said that they thought of this because she has a grandson who recently lost a tech job due to AI, and so AI was on her mind, and her grandson was talking about it. She cites economic turmoil, concern about the president's tariffs, on again, off again tariffs and things like that. But she said that one of her biggest concerns was AI, and so she got reading into it and got looking at it. And then she said, I kind of hate to admit it, but at a certain point, we as a family decided we were going to start using AI, ChatGPT specifically, to discount shop. And so she reached out to her grandson, who reached out to some of his friends in his career that he'd been laid off from, and they started using it to coupon shop, basically, to find the deals that were happening that day, limited time that day. And one of the ways she does it is she would say, I'm shopping for this, and where can I find it cheapest in my area? She said, what we found is that oftentimes the cheapest price in our area was closer than we thought, but also something that was oftentimes expiring that day. So she said, we've incorporated this into our family budget. Again, not celebrating that families are having to do this here in Utah, and in a perfect world, no one would have to, but kind of struck by the ingenuity of some of these people. So check it out. I've linked to it on our Facebook page. That's our show for today. Thank you for tuning in. Please stick around. Dave Ramsey is next here on KVNU Logan.